Hi, and welcome to the CyberOne Certification and Training Program. If you're part of our certification program, there is an exercise at the end of this segment for you. Otherwise, if you're just here for training or support, but you're interested in learning more about certification, you can contact your account manager or simply shoot us an email at support@cb1security.com. Okay, so let's get started. Today, we're in the vendor risk management training segment and looking at how to respond to assessments. So we're going to be doing two things today. First, from the risk manager perspective, we'll show you how to monitor the status of assessments in the platform. And from the vendor or the point of contact who is responding to an assessment, we'll show you how to respond to that assessment in the portal. So let's start by getting into the management system. So here we are in the management platform. As you can see, I'm in the vendor management module and we're in the vendor tab. And so the first thing we're going to show you from the risk management perspective is in the vendor record, you have a handy links menu. And from the assessment target link, you can see that an assessment has gone out to this vendor, went out on May 4th. That assessment status is currently open meaning it is yet to be responded to, and the due date is June 3rd. So you can monitor that specific assessment here with your specific vendor, or if you have multiple assessments that you're looking at, in the assessment targets tab too, all of your assessments will be listed and you can see their status here. So as you can see, so we've got an assessment that's gone out to Acme vendor. The primary contact who is Sam, and Sam received an email from us and a request to fill out the assessment. So Sam's just going to click on his email here, and that'll take him into his platform. And because he's registered and has been on here before, the link will take him directly to his assessment. He may have to log in if he hasn't logged in for some time. Okay, so once the assessment is up, a couple of things that we can show you. So from a vendor perspective, you can export this assessment to work offline and then come in and populate the actual portal questions at a later date. So just by clicking this, this will download your assessment into a CSV, as you can see from the bottom of our screen here. The other thing we can do is look for specific questions. If we want to answer them first. And there you see they'll come up and be populated. And or we can also browse by their different categories. And that way we have multiple ways that we can fit out the assessment. We don't have to necessarily just go question 1, question 2, question 3. The other handy part of that is by segmenting out the assessment, if we need multiple people to go in and answer different questions, we can send them those segments once we've sorted them and ask them to complete those questions offline, and then we can repopulate them. Or the other option you have is to ask your risk manager to add those people as contacts in the CyberOne platform so that when the assessment is sent out, they will also receive a copy. To do that, we go back to our vendor record as the risk manager. And what we do is simply in the vendor contacts, we can add those folks as additional contacts. But please note they do need to be registered with CyberOne and have licenses to the portal. They would be light users. And you can do that by contacting your account manager or emailing support@cb1security.com. Okay, so now we can go out and fill out the assessment. And just before we get into that, the other thing that we wanted to make you aware of as a risk manager is because we've segmented these questions and we've created parent-child, that means that depending on the response from the vendor, not all of these questions will activate. So let's see how that looks in the system for the vendor. So first of all, we'll answer this question as a yes. And now you can see that because I answered question 1 as a yes, and that's the correct answer, question 1.1 and 1.2 also populate. Whereas if I say no, or not applicable. Now we then move on to question 2. So, but I'm going to go back to yes and just complete all of these. And note at any time as well that the vendor may choose to add a comment. And they can upload a file as well at any time to add to the assessment. The other option you have as a risk manager is you can actually make the comments section or the file upload obligatory to the vendor. So now we're just going to keep going, make sure we answer all of our questions. And note that you can actually track your progress up here and it will tell you how you're doing. And at any time, if you are not ready to submit, but you want to, you can just save this and come back to it at another time. I will note that now with the latest version of CyberOne, that save button is there for you, but the assessment will also auto-save for you, so you'll never lose any of your answers. Okay, so let's just finish this up. And there we are. And we can just double check and see that we have 100% completion here. And so now we can just submit when we're ready. We may want to again export this and download our responses so we can double check our responses. So you can export at any time and get the updated version with the questions and answers that you've responded to. But then when we're ready, otherwise we just click submit. And we'll attest to the fact that we believe that we've answered all of these questions to the best of our knowledge. And there you see that the vendor gets a confirmation that they've submitted. And you do have an option to send an email to the vendor noting that they have completed that assessment. That's something you can add to the CyberOne workflow if you so desire. And then if we go back into the platform, now we can see, we might need to refresh, but we can see that the assessment target has been updated. And now the status is submitted for review. Same again, if we go into the tab, we see our vendor assessment and we see that it's submitted for review. And now we're ready to go in and look at the responses and do any mitigation and issue management. So that concludes our training for today. If you are part of the certification program, here is your exercise. We'd like you to send an assessment to yourself and then go ahead and complete that in the portal and submit it for review.